Hey there, thank you so much for deciding to stop by and spend a couple of your minutes with me today. I really do appreciate it. Just to kind of jump into this real quick, here recently somebody reached out and asked if I could cover the topic of Paperless-NGX. And I've covered things like paper merge in the past, but have never actually talked about paperless or Paperless-NG or now Paperless-NGX. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to do that. But before we get into that, we've got a couple of bills to pay. So here's a quick message from today's video sponsor. Because we're talking about backing up documents and that sort of thing in today's video, I'm really happy that Vinchin decided to sponsor today's video. Vinchin Backup and Recovery is a feature-rich, dependable solution that addresses all aspects of data protection from routine backups to critical disaster recovery. Vinchin Backup and Recovery offers an extensive and highly reliable solution designed to meet the diverse needs of modern businesses. It enables effortless backup of critical components like virtual machines, operating systems, databases, and file servers. And a standout feature is its seamless VM backup and migration, simplifying the complex process of managing and relocating virtual environments with ease. Beyond robust backup functionality, Vinchin excels in disaster recovery. Its continuous data protection ensures that your data is always current and backed up, reducing the risk of data loss. Need to recover quickly? Vinchin's Instant VM Restore gets your system back online with minimal downtime. Plus, its advanced ransomware protection guards against malicious threats, keeping your business secure. Also, Vinchin is offering a 50% discount on their backup software to anyone who leaves a review after purchasing it through my link. So be sure to check out the video description with a link and more information. So this is the Paperless-NGX homepage at docs.paperless-ngx.com. Links to everything will be in the video description if you want to check that out for yourself. But basically it says Paperless-NGX is a community-supported open source document management system that transforms your physical documents into a searchable online archive so that you can keep, well, less paper. So just right up front, they've stated what their mission statement basically is. It's community driven, which I love. And of course, the idea here is to be able to scan your documents, upload your documents, that sort of thing, and make it so that you can not only organize them by, tags or titles or, whether it's utilities or doctor bills or mortgage payments, whatever the case is, you can organize your different documents with different tags and that sort of thing. But you can also search your documents with one of the features that's built into it. We'll cover that here in a little bit, but we're going to go through the website very briefly. We're going to touch on a few things, and then we'll take a look at my demo that I've got set up, and then we'll actually take a look at getting Paperless-NGX set up. So again, if we scroll down a little bit further here on the homepage, they've got features for organizing and indexing. It's actually got OCR. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically character recognition. So you can search for words and phrases and things like that in your documents, even if it's something that you've scanned from your multifunction device, your scanning device, whatever. It can actually recognize the characters in your documents and make your documents searchable. Let's see, beautiful modern web application that features customizable dashboards with statistics, filtering by tags, bulk editing of tags, correspondence types, and more, drag and drop uploading, customizable views that can be saved and displayed on the dashboard and or sidebar, shareable public links if you wanted to go that route. Of course, you would need some sort of remote access via either a reverse proxy or a tunnel or something like that to make this publicly available or available outside your network. Again, full text search, we kind of covered that. We've also got email processing. So if your email server supports IMAP, you can connect Paperless to your IMAP server and have it pull in emails and documents and that sort of thing automatically if you wanted to go that route as well. We've also got a built-in robust multi-user permission system. We've got a powerful workflow system. We're not going to get too much into that. That could be a whole video in and of itself. We've got, optimized for multi-core systems. So Paperless-NGX consumes multiple documents in parallel, doing it that way. And then the integrated sanity checker makes sure that your document archive is in good health. And I really do appreciate that. If we keep scrolling down, this is a really, really long page. We can see we just covered features and there's a lot. And this is just the homepage. So we've got history, we've got, screenshots, we've got support. If we keep scrolling down a little farther, there we go with GitHub and a Matrix chat room. We've got GitHub discussions. You can open a bug or start a discussion again over on GitHub. You can contribute. Lots and lots of stuff going on here just on the homepage. So let's scroll back up to the top and then let's take a look at like the setup process. The thing is, there are lots of different setup processes available for Paperless-NGX, which I think is great because I know that not everybody wants to use Docker. So they have Docker as an available option, but they've also got bare metal. They've got all kinds of different things that you can do here to deploy Paperless-NGX on your system. So again, like I mentioned, we're going to use Docker, but if you don't want to use Docker, sorry, my door is open because it's going to be hot today. Anyway, if you don't want to use Docker, definitely check out their installation page or their setup page to learn about other ways you can install Paperless-NGX for yourself. We've also, across the top, we'll jump over to basic usage. Again, another really long page, but I implore you to go read through this as it's got a lot of really, really good information that I would probably not be able to cover all of. Again, there's so much information available for Paperless-NGX. This could be an entire series in and of itself. So I encourage you to go look up at the basic usage page over here where they talk about terms and definitions, adding documents, the consumption directory, which we'll cover a little bit, the web UI upload, IMAP, like we talked about a moment ago, the REST API permissions, default permissions, super users, workflows. So, in fact, this is neat. You can actually set up workflow triggers. And it kind of gives a little demonstration of that. Again, that could be a whole video in and of itself. So I implore you to go take a look at the basic usage page. In fact, the whole website, if we're being completely honest, as there's so much information here that I wouldn't be able to cover in a single video. We've got configuration, where you've got, like where it talks about required services, like the Redis broker. This is required for processing scheduled tasks such as email fetching, indexing, and index optimization. We need a database. We need, all of these different things in order to get this to work, like Tika, which is Paperless makes use of Tika and Gutenberg for parsing and converting Office documents such as .doc, XLSX, and ODT. Tika and Gutenberg are also needed for email parsing and that sort of thing. So that's, again, we'll get into these different things in the Docker Compose, but there's just a ton of really, really good information here on the website. And when we get into deploying this, we're going to talk about the Docker Compose and just kind of give a brief demonstration about a few different things. So we're not going to cover everything that Paperless-NGX can do here. So again, please go check out their website, check out their GitHub. Again, everything will be linked in the video description. We've also got like the administration tab here where they talk about making backups, updating paperless management utilities, and then of course all of the subsections under each of those main topics. Advanced tips, REST API development FAQs. I'm using Docker. Where are my documents? That's wherever you put them. And we'll cover that here in a bit. What's the general plan for Paperless-NGX? Like there's a lot of really good stuff in here as well. So I tell you what, let's actually jump over to what I installed this morning. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll get into actually deploying Paperless-NGX in Docker. Okay, so this is kind of my demo instance of Paperless-NGX that I've got set up. The homepage is fairly sparse. When you actually first come in here, there'll be kind of a welcome thing besides just this, where it will give you the option to kind of go through the tour. It's like 11 steps long. In fact, I'll just show you that real quick. You can always revisit the tour by going over here to settings, and then clicking on start the tour. And again, there are 11 things that it wants to show you here, that way you can just click through and get an idea of how each of these different things works, that sort of thing. I will let you go through that for yourself as I don't want to take up everybody's time here, but just know that you can always revisit the tour if you need to do that for any reason. I'm going to go back to the homepage real quick. There's nothing really currently on here because I haven't really set much up. I've just imported, well, if we come over here, we can see statistics. I've imported 31 documents that have a total of 109,532 characters. And then over here, we can also upload new documents by either dragging documents anywhere onto the page or clicking browse and navigating to whatever document you wanted to upload. Now, if we come over to my documents page, we can see everything that's currently available in my Paperless-NGX instance here. And if you're anything like me, if you scan something to a folder on your NAS or whatever, it will just say, like scan 35 or scan 18 or whatever the case happens to be. And at that point, it may as well be out in the ether. It's not doing anybody any good because scan 35 doesn't tell me anything. And what I probably should have done at that point was gone in and renamed whatever that document was. But the reality is I'm lazy and I don't do a very good job of that. So that's actually why I was super excited to take a look at Paperless-NGX. And let me show you why. Like, again, if we take a look, you can see that I've got 31 documents. It's listed right here. And if I wanted to, let's say I was looking for, a contract that I had signed with an agency or a company or whatever about promoting their product or service, I might look up the word influencer, right? And there are all of the documents in my documents folder that have the word influencer in them, whether it's FlexiSpot or ZBanks, Breezem, several different things in here, or Scan14. There's no way that it could have ascertained the word influencer from Scan14. But if we come in here, we can hover over this. And in here, we would find the word influencer. And this is from fs.com from a switch I did a couple of years ago. But, the influencer, it's right there. And because of the character recognition built into this platform, it was able to find the word influencer in this PDF. And that blew my mind when I did my very first search. Just blown away by that. So you can search by any number of things here if you want to do that. If I wanted to come over, let's just edit that document here, right? So again, we've got a title. We could call this fs.com. The archive serial number, if you had that available or were using something like that for your infrastructure, you could do that. You could put in the date created. You can modify that if you need to. Otherwise, it's just going to pull the metadata from the scan on your system. The correspondent, no items found, but you can add one. You can give it a name, a new correspondent name. The matching algorithm, you can do, learn matching automatically. Document contains any of these words. There's lots of really cool stuff you can do with the matching algorithms. Again, that could be a video in and of itself. So the document type, no documents found, but I could say, this is a contract. Right. And then again, we could auto learn that if we wanted to. We could edit the permissions about who the owner is, who is allowed to view it and edit it. You can set up users and groups for those things. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can absolutely do that if you wanted to. The storage path by default is it's just default. But of course you could create paths based on, like it's got here, the created year and the title, or the created year and the correspondent and the title. You can have it automatically archive things or categorize things, store things in specific folder structures based on the date, what's in the title, all kinds of different things. You can set all of those different things up, and I think that's amazing. Again, way outside the scope of just getting Paperless-NGX set up. Again, that could be a whole video all by itself. And again, we've got tags. Let's add some tags. This could be a contract. Let's actually make that capitalized. And then let's change the color. Oops. Oh, let's see. Interesting. It doesn't look like they have. Oh, I see. So you can just roll the dice. That's what that is. My brain is dumb sometimes. That is just a die with the 5 on it. And it will just automatically or randomly pick a color, or you can manually go in and select something. Or if you've got a specific color you want, you can put in the hex value for that as well. Again, you can edit permissions and the matching algorithm. You can do all of that in there as well. That looks good to me. So let's just say that's a contract and click save. Or you could say save and close, or you could say discard if any of those were applicable. We can come over to the content, and hey, look, it's actually taken all of the text and lined it out for us so that we can, copy and paste. Because sometimes copying and pasting from I'm just going to drag down and it skipped so much. Well, now you don't have to worry about that because all of the text is right there that you can copy and paste. Love that. Metadata, when it was modified, when it was added, the media file name, the original file name, the checksum, the original file size, the MIME type, all of that is in here with some archived document metadata as well. Notes, if you wanted to add notes to this, you can do that, which would also make things even more searchable. History, like the history was just now, I've added the tag of contract. Just now, added the title of fs.com. Just now, created this document. All of the historical information about this is in there for revisionary purposes, that sort of thing. We've got permissions. Again, we can change who the owner is. We can change who is allowed to view based on users and groups. Same thing with editing based on users and groups. I think that is absolutely amazing. But of course, this is just one document that we've covered, what you can do with that. So let's jump back over to the documents page and take another quick look over here. Again, this is just what's showing up based on the word influencer that I've searched here. We can also do tags. If I just wanted to do contract, we could do that. Can we undo that? We can. That's great. Correspondence, if we needed to do that, document types, dates, permissions, we can set up all of these different filters to help us refine our search. I'm just going to reset that. But there we go. That cleared all of that out. Let's also do, influencer again, just for the sake of it here. We can select none, a page, or select all. We can show title created, added dates. All of these different things can be shown here in our page. We can list things out. We can do things by icons. We can do kind of it's also got text in there as well. That's pretty cool. I actually hadn't seen that yet. We can sort by ASN, correspondent, title, document type, when it was created, added, modified notes, whatever. Views. We can actually create our own custom views if we wanted to do that. This thing is so intense with everything that you can do so very, very easily. I'm really impressed with NGX here, or Paperless-NGX here. So again, that's just kind of document management. Like I mentioned earlier, if I wanted to, let me see if I can find a document that I can share. Here we go. Let me actually go back over to here. I'm going to close all of those. I'm going to close those documents. I'm going to go to documents. I'm going to reset all of our filters. I'm going to delete this. In fact, I'm glad I decided to do that. If I click delete, it's like, hey, are you sure you want to do that? But also, documents can be restored prior to permanent deletion. Basically, there's a trash folder. So if you accidentally delete something, or if you delete something, and let's just do that, and come over here to the trash. Here's all of the stuff that you can then go back and restore if you need to do that. So back here on the dashboard, let's go ahead and upload a document. Let's see if I do this. Drop files to begin upload. That's right there. All right. Oh, interesting. So down here, because it's already in my trash, it won't let me re-upload it, which I actually kind of appreciate. It tells me that it's a duplicate of that file. So that's great. That's actually really neat. Let's see if I've got anything else in here. Oh, yeah, that'll work. Okay, let's try something different then. I was playing with another container months ago where I was doing some AI stuff. So let's drag this up. This is marvin.pdf, processing document, generating thumbnail. Cool, let's open that document. And again, this was just me training an AI with some Marvin the Martian AI, or some text with them. If we come over to content, hey, look, there's all of that content. We've got details. We've got metadata. All of that is available there. So let's go back to our, let's go to our documents. Let's search for Marvin. Hey, look, there it is, just that quickly and easily. And there is all of the text in it that we can then search. So that's how we can go in and manipulate the data for metadata. We can add permissions. We can add tags. We can upload documents. Very, very cool application here, but we're not done. Let's come over here to the left where it says manage correspondence. Again, this is where you can create correspondence. If you want to know more about correspondence, again, you can come over to basic usage and find correspondence. I think it's over here. The correspondent is the correspondent of a document is the person, institution, or company that a document either originates from or is sent to. So it's a correspondent. where did it come from? Who did it go to? Makes me think of that Cotton Eye Joe song. But, so you can create all kinds of different correspondence and add those correspondence to individual documents for tracking purposes, for searching purposes, things like that. Again, tags, we can add tags if we need or want to do that. Document types, again, we can create document types. We can create storage paths. We can create custom fields. We can create workflows. Again, all of these could be individual videos in and of themselves. We've got mail over here. So if we wanted to add a mail account, we can click that. We can give it a name, a username, an IMAP server, like we talked about before, along with the password, the port, the IMAP security, and the character set. We can do all of that so that we can have our documents, our emails, all of that automatically imported into Paperless-NGX on a schedule. We've also got mail rules, which again, you can create all kinds of crazy rules in here based on all kinds of different criteria. I think that's amazing. And then of course, trash we already looked at. So let's come down here to this area down here for settings administration, or administration settings rather, where you can change the appearance, the language, the date. You can change to all kinds of different date formats if whatever is default doesn't fit you. We can choose the date format, short, medium, or long, items per page, use the PDF viewer provided by the there's so many things that you can do to go in here and customize this for your specific use case, whether it's personal, institutional, business, whatever the case is. You can really come into these settings, and whether it's under the management settings or the administrative settings, and really tailor Paperless-NGX to what you need it to be. You can set up notifications here. You can click on saved views if we had created one of those earlier. The configuration over here, the application logo, if you wanted to upload your own, the application title, if you wanted to do your own, the OCR settings, the output type. You can change all of the OCR settings in here to whatever happens to be available or whatever you manipulate and add to it later. Users and groups we've talked about briefly, but we can add more users and groups here as well. File tasks. So again, this one failed because it was a duplicate, and it tells us what that original error message was. So if you missed it in the bottom right-hand corner, you can always come back to the file tasks and figure out what that failure message was, or the completed message was, or what was started, what was queued, or what has started, what is queued. Things like that. All of these tasks are available here in the file tasks, as well as going to the logs. There's a lot of information here in the logs. And if you've ever got questions or you're trying to get help from somebody about Paperless-NGX, and they're like, hey, what do your logs say? There they are. There's so much information in the logs. I've been scrolling forever, and we just keep going. So tons and tons of information in the logs settings. Again, if we come down to the bottom left, there's documentation, which will open up our Paperless-NGX website again. We can see which version of Paperless we're on, and we can, let's see. Yeah, Paperless-NGX can automatically check for updates, enable, disable. I would think you would want that enabled just so it will let you know if there's an update available. I really dig that. So that's the left column. Over here on the right-hand side, because we're on the logs page, you can choose to auto-refresh the logs if you need to. But let's come up to the top right where we can click our username and go to My Profile, where we've got our email address, password, first name, last name, API auth token if we needed one of those for third-party configurations, things like that. And then again, settings. Again, this is settings for your particular account. Whether it's appearance, update checking, document editing, bulk editing, global search, all kinds of different things in here you can check and modify as well. Permissions, the default owner, the default view permissions, default edit permissions. Maybe this isn't user specific. Anyway, document processing is here as well. You can turn these things on and off with check marks. And then saved views. You can decide whether or not you want to show a warning when closing a saved view with unsaved changes. And then the default view, you can change what that looks like for views. So one last little thing while we're here, two little things. I lied. I apologize. System status. If we click that, here we can see what this looks like. It looks like I don't have A classifier doesn't exist yet. Retraining may be pending. So that would be part of those. I believe that would be part of one of those where we've set up, correspondence or tags or workflows, things like that. Once we've got one of those trained, maybe it would show up here. Again, this is still a new instance for me. So I'm not 100% on that. And then over here, open Django admin. If we click that, here we can kind of see what's kind of going on behind the scenes. Basically, it seems like Paperless-NGX is just a nice user interface for some of these particular things. So if you wanted to go in there and manually manipulate some things, you can absolutely do that via the Django dashboard. So with all of that really long intro and demonstration out of the way, let's take a look at getting Paperless-NGX set up in Docker. For the sake of this part of the tutorial, I am going to be setting this up in a Proxmox LXC, but just know that like the demonstration that I just gave was actually installed on a Synology NAS with Docker. The reason I did it that way for my setup is because I've got my printer set up, or my printer scanner, multifunction device, whatever you want to call it, set up to scan to a specific folder on my Synology device. And I've got my Docker Compose, basically the input folder. I can't think of the name of it. We'll talk about it, but I've actually got that set up to automatically scan that scans folder. So anytime something gets scanned into that folder, Paperless-NGX will automatically pick it up. We'll cover that, but just know that this is just a simple demonstration for the installation purposes. You may actually want to put this on a NAS or something similar for easier importing of documents directly from your scanning device. So if we take a look, this obviously this is Proxmox, but we're actually going to do this via command line. I've already got my terminal window open right here. I'm just going to clear my screen there. I'm going to make this bigger so that it's easier for you guys to see what's going on. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger as well. And basically the first thing we need to do is create two files. The first one that we'll actually want to create is docker-compose.env. This is going to have all kinds of this is going to have all kinds of different environment variables for the Docker Compose that we're going to be deploying, including like UID for user ID and group IDs. When I put this on my Synology device, I had to match this to the user that I use for my documents and that sort of thing. So I had to set this at like 1026 and 100 versus leaving this at 1000. So your UID and GID will be different depending on who you are, what your system is, that sort of thing. You'll need to look that up for your setup. You can also change the paperless OCR language. If you need to do that, there's all kinds of different options here. The container installs English, German, Italian, Spanish, and French by default. We've got paperless specific stuff down here, like the URL. If you wanted to put this on a reverse proxy or have it remotely available, you could specify the URL there. You can change the paperless secret key. Again, if you're making this publicly available for a bit more security, you can set the time zone if you want to do that, which I probably should have. The paperless OCR language by default is set to English. You can also set if accessing paperless via domain subpath such as domain.com/path prefix. So you would make sure you would want to set those variables down here for that. So first thing we want to do is create a docker-compose.env file. We're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to do a nano docker-compose.env. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to copy this. We're going to click the copy button right there. Again, links to everything in the video description. So let's come back over to here. I'm just going to right click, and then we can scroll up and modify any of the things here that we need to modify. Once we've done that, we can do Control O and Enter and Control X. The other thing we need to create is a docker-compose.yml file. Oops, so we're going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to change that to YML like so. And then we'll come over to this, where we're going to have our docker-compose.yml right over here. Again, I'm going to click copy, and then I come over here and paste this in. And then we're going to scroll up to the top and work our way down through this. This is all just informational stuff up here that's been commented out. So let's scroll down a bit farther. So we've got our broker. We talked about that earlier, using Redis for that. We've got a database. We're using Postgres 16 for that. restart policy unless stopped on all of these. We've got our volume where that information will get stored, our database user and password. We've got our web server. This is the actual Paperless-NGX container. Again, restart unless stopped. So we've got, it depends on a database broker, Gutenberg and Tika. Basically, those services have to be up before the web server will do what it needs to do. It depends on those things being up for it to do its thing. Ports, if let's say you're using Portainer, for instance, port 8000 is being occupied by Portainer. So you might want to change, nope. So you might want to change that to, like 8080, for instance. Below that, we've got volumes for, and again, data and media. Those are just kind of internal things that you don't really need to mess with. However, there are export and consume folders that are used. Like the consume folder is what I have mapped to the scans folder on my Synology so that it will automatically import anything that I scan in. So again, if you're not sure how to do that, definitely look through the documentation over on the Paperless-NGX website. Again, we've got an env file. That's the file we just created a moment ago with that docker-compose.env. It's going to get all of it or most of its environment variables from that. However, there are some additional things here for like Paperless. The Redis, the database host, Tika enabled, yes or no. Gutenberg endpoint is there, and so is the Tika endpoint. So I wouldn't probably mess with any of those, but just know that that's what each of those things is for, is to connect to those different services as well. Next, we've got Gutenberg, which again, the Gutenberg Chromium route is used to convert EML files or email files. We don't want to allow external content like tracking pixels or even JavaScript. So Gutenberg basically is kind of the intermediary there to add a bit more security to importing emails and that sort of thing. And here we can say, hey, the command is going to be Gutenberg. We're going to disable JavaScript. That's true. And then the Chromium allow list file temp. So that's kind of what's going on there. Next, we've got Tika. That's our OCR, container that allows us to actually make our documents searchable through character recognition. And then we've got our volumes that all of the other containers needed. Once we're happy with all of the different settings in there, we can do Control O and then Enter and then Control X. And then Docker compose up-D, and then we can hit enter, and it's going to start pulling and deploying everything. Once this is done, there is one more command that we will need to run to actually create our admin user. If you look it up, if you look up, what's the default username and password for Paperless-NGX, it's going to say admin, and that's wrong. But we're going to take a look at getting our admin user created once this is up and running. Okay, so here we are, about 4 or 5 minutes later. That did take a little while. I didn't have a lot of resources allocated to that LXC, but if we come over here, I've got Portainer, and we can see all of the different containers that it deployed. And if we take a look at the web server logs right here, we can see everything that it's done during the deployment here. Let's actually do that. There we go. And then we're going to turn off auto refresh just so we can see like everything that it did, Docker container starting, creating directories, all of the different things that it's done there, the database stuff there. And it looks like everything should be up and running. So, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to come over to here. I need to grab this IP address. Cause again, this is a new LXC here. I need to set this IP address right there. And then we can come over to containers, and then let's find our web server and click right there, and then click continue. And now the internet will tell you that admin will get you in, but it won't. So let's take a look at getting our admin user created. So to create our super user, our admin user, our primary user, whatever you want to call it, we're going to go over here to the Paperless-NGX docs because that's what they're there for. I'm going to scroll down. There's a lot of information here. I encourage you to go through it. Basically, what we're looking for is step 7. To be able to log in, you'll need a super user. To create it, execute the following command. Now, you've got two options here. If you're using just a shell command like we're going to do, just, like you've got your terminal window open here, you would use this command right here. If, however, you were doing this from a Docker exec command, you would use this command right here. So let's just Let's just run this one right there. So we're going to copy that. We're going to open our terminal window. I'm going to clear this. And I'm just going to run that command and hit enter. And it's going to take just a second to do its thing. And then it's going to ask us to create our user. There it is, executing. There we go. Username by default is paperless. Do you want to leave that, yes or no? The answer to that should always be no. Never use the default usernames. Like so. Email address. Password. Password again, just in case. Cool. User has been created successfully. And then now that it's done that, that container will shut down and we're good to go. That container was just there for the sake of creating our user. So dbtech, password, and now we're in. And this is what I was talking about earlier as far as that little welcome message where you can click on start the tour and go through again those 11 things that Paperless thinks you need to know. So there you go. There is a very high level overview of things that you can do with Paperless-NGX, importing documents, searching documents. We talked briefly about tags, about users, about groups, about all kinds of different things. But most importantly, we talked about being sure to go back to the Paperless-NGX docs to make sure that if you've got a question, that your answer isn't already there. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up, maybe consider subscribing. If you'd like to get early or at least ad-free access to my content, you can jump over to Patreon and get that for as little as $1 a month. But yeah, that's Paperless-NGX in a nutshell. I want to thank you guys for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, several minutes of your day with me today. But with that said, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.